Power reveres the hidden, not out of fear but out of strategy. It is not the noise that leads, it is the silence that unsettles. True power never chases, never pleads, never rushes. It sits in the shadows, and still the world turns toward it. The great ones do not explain themselves, they vanish, and in vanishing they ignite desire. Like buried gold in the desert, their absence makes the ground sacred. The one who appears too often loses value. Familiarity breeds contempt, not admiration. You must learn this. Presence is waste, absence is weapon. The prince does not mingle, he observes, delays, and lets the crowd rot in anticipation. Why do you insist on being so available? Why do you throw yourself at everyone's feet, like a beggar offering talents in exchange for crumbs of attention? You think being present makes you loved? Fool, it makes you disposable, forgotten, replaced. The ancient kings knew better. They were rare, silent, dangerous. Absence was their weapon. If you limit access to yourself, you multiply your value. If you give yourself away, you disappear. Let them miss you, let them beg, let them wonder, and you will see, even your enemies will begin to respect you. What is scarce is feared. What is common is consumed. Do not try to be liked. Do not try to be understood. Do not lower your tone so the crowd can catch your meaning. You are not here to be digestible. You are here to be impossible to ignore. The world does not chase what it already holds in its hands. It chases what slips through its fingers. Be like smoke, present but untouchable. Be like a shadow, felt but never pinned down. Every time you make yourself too visible, too accessible, you trade mystique for mediocrity. And nothing kills power faster than being predictable. When they know where to find you, they stop searching. When they stop searching, they stop needing you. Scarcity is not weakness, it is design. It is a brutal, deliberate architecture of power. When you ration your presence, you feed hunger. When you withdraw, they pursue. And when you control your presence, your absence becomes your most dangerous weapon. Stop speaking so often. Stop posting every thought. Stop offering your time to those who have not earned it. Kings do not hold open doors. Gods do not explain themselves. They are seen only when they choose, and when they do, the world holds its breath. If you want them to respect you, make them wait. If you want them to fear losing you, vanish. Never. Explain why you were silent. Never justify your absence. Let them wonder. Let their minds fill the void with stories. Imagination is always more dangerous than truth. The king who vanishes becomes legend. The man who always speaks becomes noise. When you disappear, they will whisper. When you return, they will kneel. Presence has no value unless absence has shaped its outline. Every return must feel like a gift, a rare moment that demands reverence. You are not here to be familiar. You are here to be unforgettable. In the court of power, scarcity is not just strategy, it is seduction. When people cannot reach you, they begin to orbit you. When they cannot predict you, they obsess. When they cannot control you, they respect. And eventually, they fear. This aura is not mysticism. It is psychological warfare. Machiavelli saw it in the trembling halls of Renaissance courts. The ruler who appeared rarely, who rationed his gaze, became the axis around which all intrigues turned. Nobles whispered. Rivals speculated. Allies competed for mere proximity. He barely lifted a finger. His absence did the work. You can build the same aura now, but it demands discipline, not arrogance. Never chase, never over-explain. If they ask where you've been, let silence be your response. If they wonder what you're thinking, let them drown in their own assumptions. Do not offer clarity, offer mystery. A mystery that intoxicates, that haunts, that provokes pursuit. Scarcity sharpens every glance, amplifies every word. Even your stillness becomes meaningful. You stop being a person. You become a presence. But this presence is dangerous, for them and for you. It can tempt you into complacency, into believing the myth you've crafted is enough. That scarcity alone makes you untouchable. It does not. Scarcity without substance is a fragile illusion. Machiavelli warned against this very trap. Power built on perception still needs force to support it. If you are rare but weak, they will eventually see through you. But if you are rare and strong, then your legend becomes unbreakable. The final aim is not disappearance, it is balance. To be seen just enough to be remembered, but not so often that your image decays. You must master the rhythm of power, the dance between visibility and distance. Be like thunder heard in the distance, close enough to feel, far enough to wonder. Appear to remind them you exist. Disappear to make them crave your return. This is the paradox of authority. Too close they despise, too far they forget. But just beyond reach, just out of comfort, you become a fixation. Authority lives in tension, near, but never near enough. You must become a question they cannot answer, a presence they cannot predict, a mystery they ache to solve but never fully hold. Those who master scarcity do not just retain power, they radiate it. Their mere entrance silences a room. Their gaze weighs more than another man's speech. The crowd waits, not because they were told to wait, but because your absence has trained them. You have conditioned the world to pause when you arrive, to lean in when you speak, to analyze when you fall silent. Your power is no longer something you exert. It is something others feel. You become a gravitational force, not through effort, but through restraint. While others burn themselves out begging for attention, you draw it by withholding. And that is the art. Not to demand value, but to create it through discipline. Every withdrawal is a stroke of strategy. Every silence is a sermon. Every delayed reply is a lesson in hierarchy. Scarcity does more than protect your value. It transforms perception. When people cannot access you easily, they begin to mythologize you. They fill in the gaps of your silence with fantasy. They assign meaning to every gesture, every word, every absence. They turn you into something more than human, something symbolic. Your distance becomes your halo, your silence a prophecy. And this myth, if wielded correctly, becomes your shield and your sword. It draws followers without effort, protects your image without noise, but it must be tended with care. Show yourself too often, and the myth dissolves. Reveal too much, and the illusion fractures. Power is perception. Control it or be consumed by it. Modern life teaches the opposite. It celebrates constant availability, instant response, total transparency. But what it creates is not connection. It is erosion. The always accessible man becomes background noise. His words lose weight. His time loses value. He becomes a fixture, not a force. Scarcity, by contrast, interrupts the noise. It makes people pause. It makes them question. It makes them wait. And waiting breeds obsession. When they do not know where you are, what you're thinking, or when you'll return, they create stories. These stories give you more power than presence ever could. For power lives not in the seen, but in the imagined. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be felt. Consider your own life. The colleague who's always available for lunch is overlooked. The friend who always says yes is taken for granted. The lover who answers every call loses their mystery. Human nature is cruel in its simplicity. We do not respect what we can easily possess. We value what withdraws from us, what resists us, what seems just beyond our reach. This is not cynicism, it is nature. The more difficult something is to attain, the more we assume it must be worth the effort. Scarcity triggers desire, but more importantly, it triggers dependence. When people feel they might lose access to you, they fight to keep it. When access is easy, they stop caring. Machiavelli understood this flaw in human nature and sharpened it into a blade. He watched princes and tyrants withdraw from their courts, retreat into silence, vanish for weeks. And in that void, nobles trembled, decisions delayed, rumors bloomed, loyalty deepened, not because of speeches, but because of the absence of them. These rulers didn't chase influence, they built gravity. You must do the same. In business, be the one whose time feels earned. In relationships, be the one pursued, not the one pursuing. In every arena, let your absence speak louder than your words. Let them ask, let them guess, let them wait. The longer they wait, the more power you gain. Scarcity is not mere avoidance, it is choreography. It is the deliberate construction of tension, the orchestration of desire. When you are not available on demand, people begin to project. Who are you with? What are you doing? Why don't you need them anymore? Their minds spiral, and in that spiral, your influence grows. They imagine hidden plans, secret alliances, larger ambitions. The less they see, the more they believe. The ruler who hides his movements appears omnipotent. The man who does not reply seems busy, important, untouchable. Predictability is death for those who wish to command. The moment they can map your every move, you become just another piece on the board, not the one who moves it. And so you must master the art of controlled unpredictability. Be consistent in your value, but not in your timing. Never be too available. Never be too absent. Return just when they begin to doubt. Appear just when they think you've disappeared. This controlled rhythm creates anticipation, and anticipation is hunger. A hunger that twists inside them. A hunger they try to satisfy not with food, but with you. You become addictive. Not by being ever present, but by being just barely within reach. This is the cruel brilliance of scarcity. It trains others to value you more than they understand. They may not know why they miss you, but they do. And when you reappear, even briefly, it feels like a miracle. When you return, return with force. Let your presence crash into the room like thunder after silence. Every word must carry weight. Every gesture must feel intentional. Do not waste rare appearances on small talk or triviality. You're not there to fill space, you are there to bend it. People must feel the contrast. They must sense that something shifted when you entered, that your presence is not just noticed, it is needed. Make them feel that without you, the room is colder, smaller, dimmer. This is not arrogance, this is design. The rarity of your presence has set the stage. Now, your entrance must seal the myth. You are not just returning, you are claiming space that has longed for you, but never forget. Scarcity without strength is a mask, a hollow shell. If there is no substance behind the absence, the illusion will eventually shatter. Power cannot survive as theater alone. You must cultivate the force behind the silence, the skill behind the myth, the edge behind the calm. Because once they reach you, once they finally get a glimpse, they must not find emptiness. They must find fire, precision, discipline. Scarcity is only dangerous when backed by something real. Otherwise, you're just a man, hiding behind a curtain, hoping no one looks too closely. Machiavelli warned us, perception is powerful, but power demands reality. Be rare, yes, but be worthy of that rarity. To build true authority, you must balance the two forces, visibility and invisibility. Appear enough to remind the world you exist, but not so much that they grow used to your face. Speak enough to shape your legend, but not so much that your words lose meaning. This is the razor's edge where power lives. Too much distance and they forget. Too much access and they lose awe. But just enough to make them guess, to make them wonder, to make them want. You become unforgettable. You are no longer a man. You are a question that walks, a silence that thinks, a gaze that commands. They wait for your words like parched earth waits for rain, not because of what you will say, but because of who you are when you say it. Use your silence like a sculptor uses the chisel. Each pause, each absence, each unanswered message. These are not gaps. They are tools. They carve space around you. They shape the perception of your value. The man who answers every call becomes noise. The one who answers rarely becomes signal. Think of every interaction as an investment. The more they must pay in effort, in time, in uncertainty, the more they value what they receive. Give them nothing for free. Not your time, not your words, not your presence. Everything must be earned, and in earning you, they begin to need you. They begin to protect you. They begin to fear the idea of life without you. That is how loyalty is forged, not by giving, but by withholding. In the world of politics, business, and love, the same truth prevails. The one who chases loses. The moment you run after attention, affection, validation, you announce that you lack value. You confess with your behavior that they are the prize and you are the beggar. Power flips in that instant. They no longer respect you, they manage you. But the one who retreats, the one who withholds, becomes the magnet. People do not chase the one who says yes too easily. They chase the one who makes them work, who makes them wait, who makes them feel uncertain yet deeply compelled. You want to be desired? Be distant. You want to be obeyed? Be rare. You want to be worshipped? Be unattainable. Controlled silence is not cowardice. It is dominance. When you speak less, each word matters more. When you appear less, each gesture carries more gravity. You become like a storm on the horizon, unseen but felt. They know you're coming, but they don't know when, and that tension is your throne. The world is full of men who speak too much, show too much, give too much. Be the one who withholds, not to punish, but to rule. Your presence must feel earned. Your silence must feel sacred. Your time must feel like gold. When you speak, let them lean in. When you pause, let them ache. That's not manipulation. It's mastery. Do not fear being misunderstood. Fear being ordinary. The man who is always visible becomes familiar, and what is familiar becomes ignored. You must become a disruption, an anomaly. Your absence should not merely be noted, it should be felt. Like oxygen pulled from a room, it should leave them gasping. When you reappear, let it feel like a privilege, not a pattern. Let them wonder what changed, what decision you've made, what judgment you carry behind your silence. Because in their uncertainty, they grant you power. In their confusion, they begin to worship. Not because you demanded it, but because they cannot bear the mystery of you. Machiavelli observed this in every throne room. Power did not belong to the loud, but to the silent. The kings who rationed their appearances commanded more than armies. They commanded psychology. Nobles waited weeks for an audience. Enemies hesitated, not out of weakness, but out of uncertainty. That hesitation was earned by distance, and distance was enforced by discipline. You must become the same. A presence sculpted by restraint. A voice remembered more for its silence than its noise. In a world addicted to exposure, you must be the hidden flame. The one they sense but cannot seize. The one they crave but cannot keep. Scarcity is not shyness. It is not fear. It is not hiding. It is a deliberate act of creation. You are building a myth, and myths are not built through excess. They are built through suggestion, through glimpses, through echoes. When you reveal too much, you reduce yourself. When you restrain, you expand. Let them fill in the blanks with reverence. Let their fantasies build your fortress. The less they know, the more they assume. And assumption is a powerful ally, for it paints you larger than life. You are no longer just a man. You are possibility, potential, prophecy. You are the echo that lingers after the words are gone. And so, let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them chase ghosts of your making, but never explain. The moment you explain, you collapse the illusion. You become knowable, and what is knowable is conquerable. Power does not lie in being understood. It lies in being envied, feared, and desired. Machiavelli knew this well. He counseled rulers to shape not just their actions, but their visibility. Appear when it serves you. Disappear when it strengthens you. Every movement must have weight, and every stillness must speak. Be slow to answer. Be careful to reveal. And when you do speak, do so as if your voice decides the fate of kingdoms. In business, this law remains unchanged. The entrepreneur who floods every meeting becomes a subordinate. The executive who replies instantly appears unoccupied. The man who is always eager, always present, always on, becomes a utility, not a leader. The marketplace is not fair. It values perception as much as product, and perception is sculpted by presence. Be seen sparingly. Speak strategically. Let your time be a signal, not a resource. The more people must earn your attention, the more seriously they take your words. They begin to plan around you, anticipate you, compete for the briefest flicker of your regard, not because they have to, but because they've been taught to. In relationships, scarcity ignites the same fire. The man who is always reachable, always responsive, always chasing affection, loses allure. Desire needs space to breathe. It feeds on uncertainty. When you step back, you give others the room to step forward. When you don't respond, immediately they don't forget you. They focus on you. Your silence becomes a mirror in which they see their own longing. It's not cruelty, it's chemistry. You must let them feel the absence, let them ache for it. That ache is not weakness. It is proof that you've become essential. The moment they stop questioning where you are, what you think, or who you are with, you've lost. But if your absence leaves them restless, your presence will leave them powerless. The brilliance of scarcity lies in its ability to convert doubt into desire. When people cannot pin you down, they project greatness upon you. They invent reasons for your distance. They assume depth, strategy, mastery, because their egos will not allow them to believe they were simply unworthy of access. And so they double their efforts. They compete harder. They guard your reputation. They excuse your absence, defend your choices, and praise your silence. Not out of loyalty, but out of fear. Fear of exclusion. Fear of irrelevance. Fear that without you they fall back into the ordinary. Scarcity elevates you by shrinking them. Not maliciously, but inevitably. You grow in stature as they shrink in certainty. But do not be deceived. Scarcity is not magic. It is a discipline. Anyone can flood the world with noise. Few can resist the urge. Few can cultivate silence like a weapon. And that is the test. Scarcity demands patience. It demands strength. To say nothing when others shout. To remain still when others scramble. To delay when others rush. This is not the path of the desperate. It is the path of the dangerous. The world respects those who move on their own terms, who refuse to dance for attention, who make silence feel like thunder. You do not win power by chasing it. You win it by becoming the one thing everyone else cannot possess. Every ruler who has endured knew this law. From thrones veiled in velvet to boardrooms lined with glass, power does not declare. It waits. It withholds. It lets others come. Closer, then step back, then come again. It trains the world to listen, not by screaming, but by whispering rarely. It moves crowds not by force, but by tension. The rare king, the rare leader, the rare man, he becomes a gravity well. The world bends toward him because he does not bend toward the world. His time becomes mythic, his approval sacred, his indifference devastating. You must learn to evoke this aura, not by pretending to be more, but by refusing to be less through overexposure. And, once you wield it, protect it. The more valuable your presence becomes, the more tempting it is to indulge, to show up, to speak often. But every unnecessary appearance erodes your edge. Every over-explanation dulls your mystique. Resist. Let your power swell behind the dam of your discipline. Speak only when the silence can't hold back the weight of your truth. Appear only when the moment demands a shift in gravity. Then, and only then, will your presence feel like prophecy. The truly powerful are not loud, they are awaited. Scarcity is not the absence of presence, it is the presence of meaning. It is the art of restraint in a world addicted to exposure. You are not here to be available, you are here to be remembered. Your presence must strike like lightning, not drizzle like rain. Let them feel your absence like hunger. Let them feel your return like revelation. And when you leave, let the silence echo longer than your voice ever could. The final law is simple but merciless. The world does not reward the desperate. It worships the rare. Become the one they whisper about when you're gone. Become the space they cannot fill. Become the presence they crave and the silence they fear. So if you've learned something dangerous today, something they won't teach you in polite conversations, do not keep it to yourself. Like all rare things, this power demands to be shared with care. Like this video, share it. Subscribe now, because wisdom, like power, is only valuable when it's scarce. Be rare, be desired, be feared, and when you walk into a room, let the silence announce you long before your words ever arrive.